kind of a heads up did Bob Gates give the White House about this book?
Well, we knew Secretary Gates was writing a book, as everybody, I think, did, or most people did, but we received the book last night.
Last night. And any concerns that, I mean, here he is revealing blow-by-blow conversations, confidential conversations he had with the President and his other top national security advisors?
Here's what I would say. Anybody who has the privilege of serving in an administration at a high level and who participates in policy discussions and has confidential conversations with principals and presidents and then leaves office makes a decision about how they're going to talk or write about that experience and when. And that's everybody's decision to make for himself or herself. I would simply say that the President asked Secretary Gates, Robert Gates, to stay on as Secretary of Defense, and he appreciates the service that he gave to this administration, to this President, and very much valued the role he played in this administration and the advice he gave. For other issues, I'll leave it to other folks to decide because everyone makes their own decision in that circumstance. Some people write books, some people don't. We're focused on, all the things that we need to work on in 2014, both national security matters, domestic matters, economic matters, matters of providing essential emergency assistance to the the unemployed, and that's what consumes our days.
At his farewell, the President said of Secretary Gates, quite simply, he is one of the nation's finest public servants. Is there anything in this deluge of confidential information that he's put out and judgments that he's made about the President and Vice President that causes the President to reconsider that?
Look, I think I answered part of that just now in terms of how the decisions folks make when they leave administrations, and that's true of this or any other previous administration. What matters most to the President is the service that his top advisors give him as President, and Secretary Gates provided service to this administration and to previous administrations, and the President is greatly appreciative of that. And I think it's important to note, because you see headlines and you see discrete excerpts that tell a story or one story or seem to say one thing. But since a lot of what we're talking about here has to do with the policy review over Afghanistan and Pakistan, I think it's important to remember that maybe some of you haven't seen this, but it's been noted in some of the press reports that regarding that policy debate, in his book, Secretary Gates said, quote, "Obama was much criticized by conservatives and hawkish commentators for announcing that the troop surge in Afghanistan would begin to be drawn down in July 2011, and that all U.S. combat troops would be withdrawn and all responsibility for security transferred to the Afghans by the end of 2014. Inside the military, there was also much grumbling about the numerical limits he placed on troops. I believe Obama was right in each of these decisions." That's from the book. That's Secretary Gates' published opinion on these matters. Were these substantial, rich discussions? Absolutely, because the policy was so important. And it was much reported on the time that there were differing views about how we should move forward with our policy towards Afghanistan and Pakistan. So some of those disagreements or differing views, the reporting here is not different from what we've seen in the past.
But Jay, these are some explosive statements that he has made about the President. This is, not some outside critic. This was one of his most important, if not most important, national security advisors, the guy he chose to keep on to run the Pentagon. And he said that there was a suspicion and distrust by senior military officers, by senior White House officials, including the President and the Vice President, and then this became a big problem for him. I mean, what do you say?
Well, again, I think I just read to you. Again, you have to take the full picture here, John. And I would say, on that matter, I think the American people expect that their commander-in-chief listen to all of his advisors, civilian and military, when it comes to discussions and debates about matters of war and peace and decisions that affect the lives of our men and women in uniform, and that's how it should be. The President, the Vice President, everyone in this building who has ever served and worked on these matters has enormous respect for our men and women in uniform, and that includes all of the President's top senior military advisors. On policy issues, the President absolutely wants tough questions asked. On matters of national security, he wants, in these discussions and debates, both his military and his civilian advisors to be blunt and candid about their views and to back up their assessments. That's what you, I think, would expect and want in the kinds of discussions that are held and have been held in previous administrations and previous White Houses, hopefully, over, when these fateful decisions have to be made.
But was Gates wrong when he said that the President didn't believe in his own Afghanistan policy?
I think it is absolutely the case, as many have reported, that it is well known that the President has been committed to achieving the mission of disrupting, dismantling, and defeating al-Qaeda while also ensuring that we have a clear path for winding down the war, which will end this year. I mean, these are not separate issues. The mission and the policy included both ramping up and refocusing our mission on al-Qaeda, as well as making sure we had a policy in place that would wind down that war, because a war without end was not what the President believed was the right policy, and there were debates about this. So the President believes thoroughly in the mission. He knows it's difficult, but he believes that our men and women in uniform, as well as those civilians in Afghanistan and others who are working on this issue, have admirably and heroically fulfilled that mission, and they do so today.